NFL Daily Mailbag here, kicking off the show with Mike Smith. Shout out to him. Any Rams free agents that the new OC could bring over to Seattle? Great question.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. Now, at some level, there's some consistency in terms of coaches trying to bring over guys they're familiar with.
Sure.
There are 4 players who make varying degrees of sense that are current pending free agents for the LA Rams. Austin Blythe is very intriguing to me, because he clearly knows the offense, assuming that they modify it, and Ethan Postic's a free agent. So you can just swap him out and probably feel better about your offensive line. Josh Reynolds, I don't know if he's a great fit for Seattle. He could be a good wide receiver 3 for him, but do you want to pay for a wide receiver 3? Gerald Everett's intriguing, maybe. And if you want to go with a cheap back, Malcolm Brown also makes some sense. Of those 4, Austin Blythe actually might be the most intriguing of the options out there for me. But if Everett's, I think he'll be a little bit cheaper. I think that certainly makes some sense there. Malcolm Brown, if you lose Chris Carson, you want to go cheap, add another rotational piece. Okay. That absolutely makes some sense. But I am very curious to see which route they end up going in terms of making some decision process in terms of figuring out what they're going to do on the offensive line, or just offense in general.
So during this NFL mailbag, if you want to get your question featured on the show, you got to use hashtag NFL, or you can super chat. Looks like we got a question coming in from us, our team. What big name player gets traded next? So obviously last weekend, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, those are the two big players, that ended up getting traded. Who's going to be the next big-name guy that gets moved? I think most of y'all are probably going to type Deshaun Watson. If you have some Deshaun Watson questions, go ahead, throw them down there in the comment section. Super chat coming in from Jonathan O. Could a 3-team trade work? Watson to Miami, Tua to LV. Sure, it could work, but I'll be honest, I would not want the Raiders to go and get Tua Tagovailoa. I actually don't think that he is in the mix. I think it would make a lot more sense for them to try to get a guy like Deshaun Watson.
Well, I think at some level, yes. I think that the purpose of a 3-team trade is that the Raiders don't have or don't want to give up the assets for Deshaun Watson.
Sure.
And if you could send a first to, I guess now, Houston to get Tua, maybe that's a little bit more intriguing.
Nope.
All right. Say so.
All right, David Vilma, what up? Still FAB. You know
there
it, David.
We go.
Appreciate it. Everyone, throw it in the chat. FAB. FAB. This one's coming in from Jared Sanchez. Should the Steelers draft Najee Harris if he's there, or offensive line in the first round? So Connor, he's going to be a free agent. I don't think that he's going to end up coming back to Pittsburgh. Harris is an interesting prospect. Do you actually think he lasts until Pittsburgh?
I wouldn't be surprised. He's a running back. Welcome to life in the NFL.
I've already seen pictures of his thighs, Tom. You put out a picture of your thighs, and his stock's going to go up.
Okay, it's whatever. It's an interesting idea because I think he's trying to solve for the same thing of Steelers' offensive line has to be better, especially in the run game. They have to have a better run game. They didn't really have one for too many times this season. I would go offensive line. I think there would be somebody there. But if, as they move forward beyond Big Ben in the coming years, if you want to build a run-first attack, which, different conversation, I think Harris does make some sense for what they want to do on offense.
This is a fun, intriguing question from Omar. Omar, if you're not already subbed to the channel, you see the link below, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. J.J. Watt to the Seattle Seahawks for L.J. Collier, a 2024 first-round pick, and a 2022 second-round pick.
Yeah, the Seahawks say no.
That's a lot.
That is way too much to give up for J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
Honestly, the second and Collier might be too much. And I don't have great, internal evaluation of L.J. Collier. I don't think he's that great. I'd glad to ship him out for J.J. Watt. But this is a player on the wrong side of 30 who has missed a lot of time over the years, has 1 year at a very expensive cost left on his deal. From a cap perspective, it's a little bit tricky. I don't think Seattle makes this as a trade fit for J.J. Watt. Now, if he's cut, whole different conversation. But I don't want to give up two of my best, literally my two best draft assets over the next 3 years for J.J. Watt at this stage of his career. I can't do that if I'm Seattle.
Everett Thomas, you're next up here. What would the Jets trade for Watson? I also want to give a shout-out to Hamilton Neal for the Super Chat. Much love to you, brother. What would the Jets trade for Watson? I mean, we actually have already put out a video about 6 blockbuster trades for Watson. Please go check it out on the channel. I had the number 2 overall pick, another, I believe, 2 second-rounders, and then I believe I threw in another Jets player, but I can't remember his name. But I think the second round.
Those first-rounders.
Huh?
You have to go second overall pick.
Yeah.
Your other first-rounder this year.
Yes.
I think another either second or first in the future, probably throwing a defensive player. I would not move on from Quinnen Williams, but there are some other good defensive linemen on that team. Maybe you move one of those guys?
Potentially.
You got to offer a lot if you're going to try and get Deshaun right now.
So if you guys want to get your questions featured during our NFL Live mailbags, you got to join us live. We go live every single Monday and Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. So hit the big red button underneath the video that you see, or if you can't find the big red button, you can also just go to youtube.com/JadsSportsTV, click the sub button there. But turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss our live shows. And we're also dropping new live shows dropping new shows on the channel every single 3 hours. So please don't miss it. Burn Spades, much love for the super chat. Watson and J.J. Watt to Atlanta for Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. A first, a third, this year's second, and a third in 2022.
That's an NBA-style blockbuster trade right there.
I don't think it's enough.
I think I think Houston ends up saying no.
I agree.
Because I don't know what the benefit for them is in getting Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Like, if they trade away Deshaun Watson, in reality, they're blowing it up.
Yeah.
And Matt Ryan and Julio at this stages of their careers don't really benefit them all that much. And I got to check, too, at Ryan's counter. It's a pretty big hit for Atlanta, and that's a bit problematic for them, too.
Diehard Raider Fanatic 818. Okay, Raiders get Rodgers or Watson. Carr gets traded to the Colts. 49ers or Cowboys. Gruden is still not committed to Carr. I could see Watson or Rodgers to Sin City. I'll tell you what, if the Raiders do pull off a trade for a quarterback, I do think it's either between Watson or Rodgers. However, I don't think it's ultimately going to happen.
Okay. I think the Colts are an intriguing fit for Derek Carr, just with where they're at trying to find a new quarterback. I think Carr is a bit better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but maybe not at the cost the Raiders would be asking for. If the Cowboys move on from Dak and go to Derek Carr, just kill me now.
Speaking of Dak, what up, Emil? If the Cowboys pay Dak, they win the Super Bowl next year. Doesn't seem like a question. I appreciate the super chat.
Statement of fact.
But I'm going to say that you're wrong. I mean, the Cowboys have a great offense. The defense is still a major question mark.
If they pay Dak, they have more money available to get good players on the defense. Crazy how that works out, right?
They're still very, very far off. All right, but appreciate the question, Emil. So who is your dream free agent target? So what I want you guys to do is think about your favorite team, and then think about who's the one player that you would just love for your team to go out and get. So who's your dream free agent target? Go down in the comments section and let us know. All right, here we got a super chat from A. Trey. Based on what the Texans want, Washington football team is the best fit. I'm guessing you mean for Deshaun Watson. So we actually did make a video about the top teams that could go out and trade for Watson. The Washington football team was on that list.
If the report of 2 first, 2 second, and 2 young defensive players is true, I do think that makes some sense. I think you would include Montez Sweat. You could include a Daron Payne or Jonathan Allen, but not necessarily, and pick a younger defensive back. I mean, maybe you move on from Cameron Curl, who had a really great year for you in year one, or you try to throw in one of your corners. The front four is so great for Washington. That's what makes it so intriguing. But I do think Washington, even though their firsts aren't as valuable as other teams right now,
good landing spot
they
for him.
do make a lot of sense, although I do wonder about going from Cal McNair to Dan Snyder in terms of ownership quality.
Got a big super chat. Shout out to Jonathan Peck, so far the MVP of today's show. As a Washington fan myself, with getting Stafford, didn't get though, and Deshaun Watson price getting expensive, what my team should get if those guys not available, maybe Dak or Derek Carr or Jimmy G. Any thoughts?
I mean, if Washington can pull off Dak Prescott, that is the ultimate signing to end all signings, especially double ironic since they tried to get Amari Cooper from the Cowboys last offseason. If it's not one of those guys, they're in a really weird spot.
Very weird spot.
I wonder if Derek Carr or Jimmy G become available, okay. I'm open to that particular process. I don't think Carr becomes available. We'll see about Jimmy G coming open. I would wonder if maybe it makes the most sense for them to just maybe bring like a Cam Newton and kind of kick the can down the road in here and see what the draft class looks like next year.
I would go with another quarterback like in the free agent market, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, where you saw what they could do with Alex Smith, a journeyman veteran. You put Fitzpatrick with that defense, maybe they can get it done.
Go all in for Deshaun, though. Should be your plan.
Absolutely. Clay Putoff, what up, my man? Should the Broncos trade pick number 9 for Stephon Gilmore?
What do you think?
It's a lot for Gilmore, but I think that he is still coming off a down year. He's still a top 3 cornerback in the National Football League.
He's great. If I'm Denver,
the other reason why I say no, though, is because for me, if you're going to trade for Gilmore, you need to be in win now mode. Close your ears, Sam. They're not in win now mode.
I agree, and it fills a need at corner. I mean, the contract-wise, you cut A.J. Boye and you're cutting even there.
Sure.
But Gilmore's on the wrong side of 30, coming off a down year, and coming off of a quad injury that I'm pretty sure was at least torn or partially torn. That's a lot of potential red flags right there of like, oh, no, that's a lot going on. I would not trade pick number 9 for Gilmore. And I wonder if Gilmore is actually likely to be cut than traded because he wants to get paid soon. Patriots might be rebuilding. And if the Patriots shop Gilmore, our team's going to be worried that he's actually hurt. And that could drive down interest as well.
Jackson Tompkins, I know what that picture means. The Patriots signed T.Y. Hilton. So I know T.Y.
Get weapons for whoever the quarterback is I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, he would be hands down the number 1 receiver on that team, but it's going to be who's the quarterback again. And if I'm T.Y., do I really want to go to New England?
What if they pay you the most?
I guess.
At that point, you do it.
I still feel like if I was a competitor, I would hopefully want to go to a team that actually has a chance to win. All right, Brian Robbins, what up, my dude? The Chiefs. Anyway, the Chiefs can sign Trent Williams to help out the offensive line.
Fun idea. The Chiefs have some injury issues on the offensive line, and Trent Williams is awesome, and he would instantly be the best offensive lineman on that team. And frankly, he's probably the best offensive lineman in the open market if he hits free agency.
Agreed.
But I think you're right. I think the Niners are going to pay up to keep him.
I mean, especially if there are all these quarterback rumors. If I'm a quarterback and you're going to try to trade for him, I'm going to be like, is Trent Williams going to be there protecting my ass? Yeah? Okay, that might help me out. If he's not, it makes it a lot more tricky. But even though he's getting up there in age, he's the top guy. Second guy, though, if you want to think about Taylor Motton, maybe
That's intriguing. Maybe a Darrell Williams on a cheaper note?
Yeah.
Could make some sense for the Chiefs.
So where will Trent Williams sign? Let us know. I know it's not the Washington football team.
And probably not, no.
But if you guys want to try to predict where the top offensive tackle in this year's free agent class is going to end up going.
I think he's back with San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm with. I just think it makes the most sense. He had an outstanding year, one of the best tackles in all of football. So I'm going to go back with San Francisco. Style Stunner, better receiver, Deebo Samuel or DK Metcalf? DK, not close.
I think I'm going to go DK, but I like Deebo a lot.
He's a good receiver. It's not close. What up, Bark? Mac, Fuller, and a couple picks for Watson and Watt.
It's intriguing. You mean, of course, Khalil Mack, the edge rusher, and Kyle Fuller, the cornerback. Opens up a big-time cornerback need for Chicago. But if it gets you Deshaun Watson,
I would do it.
I say do it.
Yeah,
I don't know if the Bears would. But if it got me Deshaun Watson, heck yeah, I'm not gonna ignore the greatest quarterback in franchise history for an edge rusher and a corner, as good as they are. Sorry.
All right, what up, Vong Vo? Who should the Packers go after during a free agent signing? So who do you think the Green Bay Packers should go out and get?
They don't have a ton of money available. I'm looking at maybe a new cornerback too. If you can find someone at the right cost there.
Defensive line,
probably defensive tackle in particular, because I love Kenny Clark, but they need somebody else right there.
Yep.
They need somebody else to help them out. And I would still look at the receiver market. I don't think the money works. I would love to see Curtis Samuel on that team.
I mean,
I think he would thrive.
I mean, a big-name receiver, Will Fuller, that's probably not going to happen. But, I mean, another guy who's pretty solid in the red zone, Marvin Jones Jr., who kind of gets slept on every year, but another quarterback or receiver that had 9 touchdowns. Suvian YT, who should the Seahawks draft at the cornerback position?
Yeah, well, they don't have a first-round pick, of course.
So
they're looking round 2 and beyond there. I think Paulson Deebo, the cornerback from Stanford, kind of fits that style. I will throw out
Lesser Sherman.
I don't think there's much chance Tyson Campbell falls that far, but I would have interest there. Greg Newsome out of Northwestern, and then Ifeatu Melifonwu out of Syracuse. It is Obi's brother.
Yep.
He fits the size, length stuff Seattle historically has liked. Those are some names I would keep an eye out for.
Super chat coming in from Monster XXX. How much success Jared Goff will have with the Lions OC, Anthony Lynn? I mean, it remains to be seen.
I think that Jared Goff is going in a downgrade in terms of players around him and coaching staff around him in terms of offensive genius. So probably worse than what he was with the Rams.
Yep.
Sorry.
Zornell Malone, should the Raiders sign T.Y. Hilton?
It's all you.
No. I'm going to pass on T.Y. There's a lot of other receivers that I think the Raiders would be better off having. And if they need something, they need a true number 1 receiver that's a little bit bigger. They have plenty of these, I'll say, under size
Yeah.
type of guys, like a Henry Ruggs, a Hunter Renfrow. They need somebody that's a little bit bigger at the wide receiver
Bryan
position.
Edwards.
I like Bryan Edwards, but no. If I'm going to spend on receiver, I'm going to go big or go home.